us who you are in the play. I asked that earlier, but just go around if we could, and we'll start over here with Tony. Say your name and who you play, and just one sentence about what your character does.
My name is Tony. My character's name is Camillo in the play, and I am the honest nobleman. And that plays a couple different ways, but we'll leave it at that.
My name's Rob. I play Antigonus in the show. It's a smaller part, but I feel without it, the show couldn't exist. I'm the kind of like the catalyst between everything. I do what the king tells me to. I take the babe to another country, which brings on Act 2. So, and I get eaten by a bear, which is the fuss. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
My name is Kate, and I am Paulina, and my job is to berate Leontes all the time. That's what I do. It's true.
I am Dan. I play Polixenes, King of Bohemia. Polixenes is Leontes' childhood friend and a close friend of the Queen's as well.
I'm Luke, and I'm playing a easily bamboozled shepherd son who is noted in the script as the clown by Shakespeare. His function in the play is basically to just get fooled a lot. So that's about all.
Hi, I'm Anne. I play Hermione, who's the Queen of Sicilia. She's a little bit of the catalyst of the issue of this whole play. She's married to Leontes, who is a very jealous man, and as we said before, is very, very close to the King of Bohemia, which of course doesn't end well. But she's a very proud woman, very much sticks to her innocence, and I think it's up to the audience to decide how much of that they want to believe.
I'm Lou. I play an 83-year-old shepherd. Why I keep getting cast in these old men roles, I don't know. But I am father to the clown and illegitimate father to Perdita. And my province is Bohemia among the sheep.
I'm Chris. I play Archidamus, a Bohemian nobleman who likes to party. And I serve to establish the dichotomy between Bohemia and Sicilia. And that is all.
Okay, I guess we'll go that way. Okay. Hi, I'm April, and I am Perdita, Purdy, whatever you like to call me. I am like Pongo and Purdy, like from 101 Dalmatians. But, okay, I'm not a dog. I am a princess. I am the lost princess that Rob brings to the other land, Bohemia. And so I kind of serve as, it's interesting because it's like there's all these things that I represent that I grow up not knowing. And I enjoy that. Sometimes when you think of like lost princesses in general, sometimes you don't always think of them as the most strong characters. And looking at lines that I say, seeing that I am spunky, and I do have a sort of a fire in me that I think is admirable, and I really enjoy playing it.
I'm Dante. I play Autolycus the Rogue, and that's about all I do. I steal things from people, and I sing songs, and generally trick people. And I think, along with a lot of the fools in Shakespeare's writing, he knows the most of anyone. He knows the good side and he knows the bad side, but he's on neither.
My name is Dominic, and I'm playing Prince Florizel. I am the son of Polixenes of Bohemia. I think my role in the play is kind of just to be drunk in love with Perdita. So the first half of the play is a bunch of old people fighting and being mad and angry and like rage, and the second half of the play is like kind of crazy but crazy in love. So it's like both sides of. It's very balanced, I think. So, but yeah, just to be in love.
My name is Justin. I play the just King Leontes. And I am a man of conviction.
Are you?
I have my convictions, and even if they may be mine alone, I still have them and believe them wholeheartedly. Conviction and suspicion, I think, are my themes. And I think I hold a bit of a grudge sometimes. Yeah, but I like my character. He's a presence that cannot be denied, not only in character, but in the show as well. So that's fun.
Why do you want to do Shakespeare? Everybody considers it so difficult and so hard. Why do Shakespeare?
I like to do it because I love to speak that beautiful language that he writes, the English language.
Right, it's a treasure of the past, and it's an honor to help keep it afloat.
After 400 years, it's still relevant and wonderful. 450, even more.
How do you know what you're saying when you do Shakespeare?
Practice.
It kind of really comes to me, at least me personally, it really doesn't set in until around now, and I finally realized, oh, that's what I've been saying this whole time. It's just, if you keep saying it enough, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like whenever I first get the script and I read and you highlight and I put little question marks next to things, I'm like, this doesn't really make sense. But then as we walk and work with other people, like everybody here is really easy to talk to and help clarify what you don't quite get. But like Dante said, right about now is when a lot of the things that we sometimes graze over are just, they all come, it's like they're shining when we realize it, and it's cool, because then it makes everything make more sense.
I think there's an ambiguity with Shakespeare, too, in that most of his lines can be said in different ways, and it depends on the production itself to determine exactly what the phrasing is and what the intentions are behind the words. And so it does take there's your initial understanding, you understand the story, and you start to get to know your character. But then as the play goes on and it develops, you start to realize that a lot of it has to do with our relationships to each other. And depending on how one person says their line, that's going to impact and influence the way I respond to you. And I think the beauty of Shakespeare and the fact that you can see the same production 500 times, and each time it's going to be 500 different ways, is because it's our own personal influence on our character that determines the growth and the strength of the show.
I know when we were starting to do our lines and stuff for this season show, I was sitting there and I was reading a big monologue, and towards the end I'm still happy and wistful saying all my lines. And I did it for like 3 or 4 days, and then it took Ann to come up to me and goes, Rob, you do know you're getting attacked by a bear. And I realized that I should not be happy at that point.
Ann tells us how we should feel, and we feel it.
I think the process of an actor having to study their lines and study the material and look up words and really figure out the context clues of their dialogue actually helps you grow as an actor and gets you more involved in your character as well.
Yeah. I think the experience that we have here lends itself to helping people that may not know what they're supposed to be saying. I mean, we have a few new cast members, and I've been asked on more than one occasion, what does this mean? How am I supposed to deliver this? And so if we're able to help in that regard, then it's really cool. I've gotten a lot out of this production just because I've been here a while, and a lot of people have kind of looked towards me for meaning and things like that. So I'm able to give a lot of tips and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I've been here for 5 years doing this, and I still came up to people like, what does this mean? Like, it's just a learning experience each show we do, because there's so many different words and stuff that he uses in these shows.
I always feel really intelligent after it, because you look and you're because so many people give up after they start, and it's it's too hard. Why give the time? I mean, we have to give the time, but the time that we do give it's you just feel like there's something something valuable that came out of it.
Does Shakespeare have relevance in the present day in 2014? What can the modern audience take from Shakespeare, or is it just old and passé?
Shakespeare definitely has relevance. I mean, you have to think about how much human nature has changed since the time he was writing it. It really hasn't changed at all. I mean, in this play you're dealing with, like, suspicion of, like, sleeping around and, like, jealousy, and it's young lovers upsetting the parents. I mean, that happens daily. You can watch any, like...
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, you can watch any modern TV show, you see it constantly. So I think at the heart of it, it's just how do people behave, and we haven't really changed that much.
Yeah. I mean, classism still exists, friendships still exist, you know, and I don't think the language is so far gone that it's beyond the scope of a contemporary audience. I think the auditory component of Shakespeare's words and the way that he wrote was such that even if they don't put forth their sentences the same way that we do, just the alliteration and the assonance and the plays with words are very, very contemporary, and a lot of our little idiosyncrasies of our language, started there, which is pretty cool. I mean, he made up a lot of the words that we use now, so it's not so far gone that we are incapable of hearing it and not understanding it. And it's meant to be played, right? I mean, Shakespeare's meant to be played. I think to read it, you go, sometimes, but to see it performed and to hear it, I mean, it's so auditory. It's beautiful, and that's why we need to bring it to modern day audiences, because plays are not meant to be read in a classroom. They're meant to be seen on a stage or in a beautiful outdoor space like this one, 100%.
You say why Shakespeare, you say why not? We have the place to do this stuff, so it's really cool. We have stars and we can have fire on stage. When's the last time you've actually seen a play that had fire on stage? We have it every year. It's here. Yeah, on purpose. We have it every year. It's here. We have a creek. We have a place that people can, come and sit down and grab a lawn chair and watch a story or watch a movie as the kid. Or stuff like that. So it's really, really nice.
What do I look for in The Winter's Tale?
Who? Me?
Do you mean like what themes or what? Well, I mean, because that kind of could tie in with the previous question about how it still relates to now. I guess anytime you go and see a play, it doesn't even have to be a Shakespeare play. You always want to see, like, it's an image of life. You want to see other people dealing with struggles, and you see how they solve them, what they actually... Maybe a few people have actually gone through something like this in the past, yes. And so I'd say just look and see what qualities you can identify with.
I'd say look for the humor. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I feel like
it is a comedy.
I feel like people look at Shakespeare a lot, at least the younger ones, and it's very intimidating because the language is very flowery and elaborate. But it's like when you get down to the core of it, like, there are sexual innuendos, there are like some really funny insults. I mean, I think he's a funny writer and he had a lot of wit, so I think if you don't let the language scare you off, you'll catch the humor in it. And I think the humor makes it a lot more relatable.
And in A Winter's Tale, you want to watch out for bears.
It's true. Watch out for bears.
It's a fairy tale. It's got like magic and whimsy and all that fun stuff. And it's written as a fairy tale. It's fun.
Who are you in the play, and what do you bring from your own character to the character in the play?
Well, I'm Polixenes, the king of Bohemia, and I see him as he's a proud and staunch sovereign leader, but he's very loyal to those around him. And he's also kind of a coward. I guess I bring my sense of loyalty to that.
And your cowardice.
And my cowardice. quite a coward.
I'm the clown, so and being just in reality morose and very sad fellow, it's a difficult Difficult challenge.
We see that. Just sitting there.
Well, I think clowns are often the saddest among us, aren't they?
There's a song about that.
Tears of a clown.
How does the park lend to the play? I mean, you sort of answered that before, but how, as an actor, does the park lend to the play?
I think I'll speak for Paulina, who is awesome. She's so great. So Paulina is she's kind of like Hermione's right-hand lady in that she will. You've got that fierce, loyal supporter of the queen, and the king screws up pretty royally, and she is there to remind him consistently for about 16 years of how much he screwed up. And she's very eloquent and very, she's a little more, balls to the wall probably than I am, but she is, she's fierce and so much fun to play. So I think she has that hidden go-getterness, that's not a word, but that I don't have. But what she lends to the play, I think she really punches it out there and kind of forces that necessary lamentation to bring the king and queen back together or wherever. Am I giving away the end? But she is that. Skip
People
that.
may
Cut.
have
450 years.
Cut that part.
Someone's going to come.
Spoiler alert.
No one has read this play. We are the only one who has read this play ever in the history of the world. Okay. It was his last work. It was actually just found last year. They found it in a log.
At this park.
In a log.
Right.
That's
I
why
was
it's
a chicken,
park.
and I believe it was like just pecking at the log, and they found it.
How many of you have been in the park before acting? Raise your hand. All right, let me ask you this question. Why do you keep coming back and sacrificing your entire summer for something you're not paid for?
Well, for year 2 for me, I mean, I'll say I came back for the cast and the experience of being out in the woods. I mean, every year so far it's been just like a family down here. Everybody really works together and develops some connections and some friendships, and we have some good laughs and some good memories, but we put on something amazing at the same time for an audience that's really appreciative and really involved and can't wait to be here to see what we have to put on. And I mean, that's a great experience and something really magical to be a part of.
Tony, would you respond with the response you gave me today about you missed Coriolanus?
Oh yeah. Totally different and a little bit easier to dole out to you kind folks. What I talked to Laura about. I missed a show. A few years ago I did another show with another company, and when I came down here and saw the play, I felt that I was missing something. I was missing something, and this, from then on, this is where I want to be in the summer. A lot of people go to the beach. A lot of people, go to other places. This is my summer vacation. This is what I get to do. This is what I want to do, and that's what I look forward to every year.
In one sentence, convince me to come to this play.
You can bring alcohol.
And
There's a satyr dance.
It's a sexy
You will feel smarter after seeing it.
Come watch me sing.
Chris Smith does a body roll.
Yep.
It is a magical romp in the park.
Right.
Like we were saying, a lot of people you feel sort of afraid of doing it, afraid of learning how everything makes sense, spending the time, and after it I do feel more confident in myself. Because like whenever not that it's the hardest thing to do, but maybe it will be. And once you do it, it's like, what else? What can I not do? It makes you feel so much better. And that's, like I said, for the audience to watch it and understand it. Then, I mean, I think that gives you a big confidence boost, being able to say, hey, I've just watched a whole play and I knew what they were saying. I could tell you the storyline, all that stuff. That's why you should see it.
I think another reason why you should come to the park is, as Laura has said so many times before, there's enough crap up there. There's enough crap up there. Just come down, have fun, let go, take yourself back to whatever time period we're in, and just relax for 2 to 3 hours. Watch the sun go by, watch the moon come up and the stars come out, and watch cool stuff.
There's nothing like it. Nothing similar at all that you can find around.
So I've said before, and I'll say it again, I feel like this is Johnstown's best kept secret. It's probably one of the few things that if you come down and see it afterwards, you'll think, how in the world did I miss this? Where have you been all my life?
Where have you been the last 20 minutes?
I think there's a sense of community too, and I think it's something that we're very proud of as, you know, members of this company. But I think also to know that that theater is alive and active in your community, and that you can, you know, we have these resources, we have this beautiful park, and that we can come and celebrate being from this amazing town all together, doing this amazing work, and getting to perform Shakespeare and have a great time. And you know, having attended Shakespeare in the park before, I can attest to that. It is so much fun to come down and watch and be with your family and your friend and your other community members in this beautiful place, watching your fellow community members do amazing work on with a beautiful backdrop. So that's why you should come and see it, because it's your community.
What sense of company have you acquired in the last 6 weeks? We pride ourselves in being a company. Have you noticed anything different in working in this particular idea?
Lots of sexual tension.
Sorry.
I know. Well, I've worked on other shows with other casts. Like, I've done this other years, and something that I find very unique about this group of people, I mean, it is always changing. There are people that I've worked with before, and of course there are new people all the time, but I realize that, I mean, this is really silly, but I feel really comfortable greeting everybody, because I know that they'll say hi back to me. I know everybody's names, and I can tell you something about them. And like we were saying before, it's easy to go up to people and ask them questions. It's easy to give them suggestions. Like Luke gave Dom and me a suggestion the other day, and it was like, that's awesome. We feel comfortable around each other to speak in ways that, you know, sometimes if, like, depending on the person, maybe you would think it's sort of offensive to give them a note, but we understand the ways that this works, and it's neat feeling welcomed from everybody. It's so rare to feel like people want you around sometimes, and it's really nice when that is the sort of welcome you get.
I think a big factor too is the size. I mean, it's a very small company, and the one thing you get in Shakespeare is you have smaller parts, but you don't necessarily have like the leads and then the rest of you. And like, I've done some really big productions, especially if you get into like musicals where there's the ensemble who never say a line, they're just back there to sing backup, and there's that clear divide. And it's nice to work with a small company because it's like, I know all of your names. I learned them pretty quickly. And that's saying something, because then you get a chance to really know people on a more personal level, short of, hey, that's the person that stands kind of behind me in that one scene.
Well, from the other end, the last several shows I've acted in have either been one-person shows or like 3 people. Like, never more than 3 people. And it's a lot of me talking, and it's nice to not have to talk so much. So that's really, you know, it's nice to be part of a group instead of kind of solitary and isolated. And that's very nice too. see everybody else doing awesome things.
Where did you get your training, or where are you from? Ready?
I am from Long Island, New York, small town. I've been doing Shakespeare since I was 16 years old, but I didn't know it yet, simply because well, that's another story. But anyway, I have zero Shakespeare training. Down here in the park is where I've learned how to do what I do.
I'm from here locally, Johnstown, PA, and I did perform for 4 years up at UPJ, but a lot of my Shakespeare, pretty much most of my Shakespeare training has been down in the park for these past 5 years.
I'm Kate Davis, and I started getting into theater at Chatham College when I was a student there, and then I have my Master of Fine Arts from Savannah College of Art and Design in Media and Performing Arts with an emphasis in acting and directing. But most of my training has been on the stage, so just doing awesome theater all the time. Saying awesome.
I am from Pittsburgh, PA. Most recently, I've been studying at the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown.
It's true.
But I've been doing theater for a while, including Shakespeare, off and on.
I'm Luke from Somerset, and I've had the great pleasure of being trained in Shakespeare since I was about 14 by our awesome director, Laura Gordon. So she's taught me everything I know. Good or ill.
I come from a tiny little town called Northern Cambria that no one has ever heard of, where there's not a whole lot of emphasis on arts in general. And I was just very fortunate to have met two directors who are very passionate about theater. I worked with a woman named Bonnie Rosinski in high school, who loved Shakespeare and really instilled a good understanding in her students. So as a high school student, you weren't like, big words. And then when I was in college, my training is actually in opera performance, which ironically a lot of Shakespeare's works have been turned into operas. So I was familiar with it there, and I also worked with a director who had his experience in New York, and he opened me up to a whole different way to look at the art. So I have a variety.
I'm from Johnstown. I have no formal training as an actor. I began my Shakespeare experience 4 years ago, and since then I've been reading Shakespeare's plays and criticism on Shakespeare almost nonstop during those 4 years. And all my training has been right here in the park, thanks to Laura and Brad and all of my comrades.
You're welcome.
We made you.
What a mess.
Again, I am Chris Smith, and my first show was my senior year of high school over a decade ago. I took a pretty long hiatus after that. I mean, I really enjoyed doing it. I just was doing other things. Just within the past 2 years, got back into theater, and every show has been a new training experience for me. I've learned something from cast, from directors, and particularly down here, my experiences in the park have been very enlightening, very much a growth experience. So I appreciate that.
Hi, I'm April, and we learned a lot of Shakespeare in high school, I'd say. We read a lot. We didn't do much, some Renaissance competitions, but not any full-length plays. I went to Seton Hill for 2 years, and now I study acting at Point Park in their conservatory. But the main doing of Shakespeare, the main understanding of it has been from learning it here, where I am also from, in Johnstown.
I'm also from right here in Johnstown, PA. I got all of my acting training really from here and in high school. I do some theater up at school, in college, but I go to Carnegie Mellon University now in the School of Music for opera training, just like Anne here. And yeah.
I'm from Johnstown. I don't have any formal acting training. I did some stuff in high school, and then while I was at Duquesne University, it fell by the wayside. I had always thought about doing more acting, but no opportunity really presented itself. And so I came back to Johnstown, and I was doing absolutely nothing, and my sister one day was like, why don't you come to UPJ? They're doing much ado about nothing. And I was like, okay, awesome. So I went up there and I got cast in that play, and it was a very amazing experience. It was my first Shakespeare experience. And then a week after the run of that, I was asked in a bar by our own Natalie Kerchak if I had acted recently, and I was like, now that you mention it, just last week I finished a Shakespeare run. So that's how I landed here. So yeah, all my Shakespeare training has been this year, and it's been from here and then UPJ with Much Ado About Nothing.
Hello, again, welcome. I'm Justin, and I am also from Johnstown. I've done musicals in high school. I hadn't done Shakespeare until I started doing this, which it's been 7 years, I want to say, 7 or 6, since my first show. I believe the first time I did it was also my Aunt Natalie had suggested, hey, I think we may need more guys, so let's get them down here into the show. So I figured I'd try it out. I'd seen a couple shows, so I was very interested, and ever since then I've enjoyed it. I feel like doing Shakespeare is a little bit more, it's more interest. No offense to all the musicals of the world, but I like doing Shakespeare a lot, and I've had no formal training at all, except for this.
Favorite line in the play that you say? Your favorite line?
She drops booties in my mouth. There we go, I said it.
We shall give you sleepy drinks.
'Tis such as you that creep like shadows by him and sigh at each his needless heavings.
Lay you now, you hear. When she takes the reins, I will let her run, but she will not stumble.
Could you do something about that, Tony?
Sure, yeah. My favorite line every year is, tell those airplanes to stop flying over the park and do your show.
Anybody else? Favorite line from the play? Come on.
Cogitation resides not in the man that does not think my wife is slippery, to have nor eyes, nor ears, nor mouth, and say my wife is a bed swerver.
A hobby horse.
Thank you.
You're welcome, because my favorite line is, I will not be a stander by to have my sovereign mistress clouded so without my present vengeance taken. That's my favorite line, which is directly after what you just said. Nice segue.
Come on, give me a couple more. We're done. This is the last of it.
Sing that one.
How say you? My prisoner or my guest?
My favorite line I say to Perdita, or I'll be thine, my fair, or not my father's, for I cannot be mine own nor anything to any if I be not thine.
That's my favorite line too. It's just the sweetest thing in the world.
My favorite is to Leontes. I say, dear my brother, let him that was the cause of this have power to take off so much grief from you as he would peace up in himself.
Right?
Exit pursued by a bear.
Nobody says
Not a lie.
I'm going to shout as I'm running.
We few.
We happy few. We band of brothers.
The Band of Brothers presents Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale, July 10th through 12th and 16th through 19th. Tickets are $10 for general admission and $7 for students and seniors. Visit bandofbrothershakespeare.org for information.